using rosemary for thousands of years. It's been reported that the ancient Greeks and Romans used rosemary as early as 500 BC, and it's still popular today. We love using it in the kitchen. To us, there is nothing like the fantastic flavour and smell of rosemary to really get you feeling hungry. It's a smell that instantly makes us think of delicious stir fries with lamb, with potatoes. It reminds us of the classic Sunday lunch. The fantastic news is that rosemary is just so easy to grow. And in this video, we're going to be talking about how you can successfully grow your own rosemary and grow your own flavour. So I always like to start at the beginning. Rosemary is fully hardy. It's hardy down to a really low temperature, not one that in the UK you're really going to have a problem with. It's also evergreen, so you've got it all year round. It provides a beautiful architectural element to your edible kitchen garden. Because it's there all year round, you can plan the rest of your herb garden around it. It's hardy, it's evergreen. What's not to like? Ideally, rosemary wants to be planted in a nice sunny spot where it's going to get a decent amount of sun. It is a bit of a sun lover. It's also ideally suited for growing in a container. That's really good news because a lot of people don't have access to ground that they can plant in. And sometimes it's ideal actually to plant your herbs in containers where you're in control. You can choose where you put them, you can choose what goes into the container, and you can situate that container for your convenience. You should also check out our video about growing edibles in containers. You might find that really useful. If you are planting your rosemary plant in a container, make sure that it's got good drainage. It's really important, guys. Make sure this plant isn't waterlogged. It'll be fine throughout the winter, but the one thing it does not like during those winter months is sitting in water. Rosemary doesn't like having wet feet. So when you put this into a container, make sure that you plant it up with adequate drainage and work a little bit of grit into the growing medium that you plant it in. We always pot ours up with quite a heavy grit to compost mix, and that just helps the water soak through. And on those cold, wet days, your rosemary plant isn't sitting in water. A commonly asked question that people pose to me is, why is my rosemary plant going woody? Well, it's really, really important that you promote positive growth through pruning regularly. And I know it's really counterintuitive, it really is, that you're so proud of the plant that you've grown that you don't want to damage it in any way, and I can absolutely understand that. But you've got to keep pruning your plant for promoting that healthy, positive growth. It's really important. So as the plant grows, just bunch the plant together and snip out the top third on a regular basis. Rosemary tends to flower around late spring. Beautiful flowers on the stems, which the bees absolutely love, so it's a fantastic plant to grow as a pollinator. After that flowering is a really good time to give it a bit of a prune, give it a tidy up, just to promote that healthy, vibrant growth that's going to keep all the energy within your plant down the bottom 2/3 of the plant, and it's going to help prevent your plant from going woody. You can see, here's a plant that we pruned back a few weeks ago, and it's already thickened out. It's so much less leggy and spindly than the example I've been showing to you. Pruning's really important, guys. After you've pruned your plant, you can actually propagate more plants yourself. You can take a cutting from your rosemary, just cut beneath a leaf node and put it in some well-drained compost. It's relatively easy to take a cutting from rosemary, but it's easier generally to grow from an established plant. It's quite a time-consuming process. We're now planting the rosemary plant that I just showed you into one of the terracotta pots that we've painted up to look a bit different. I think it's really important that the kitchen garden looks really cool, as well as smelling and tasting amazing also. We've worked a bit of grit into the base of this pot, and we're using a good quality multi-purpose compost. That's going to be the fuel that you're giving your plant. We're planting this up quite late in the year, the end of August, and this rosemary plant is going to see us through the winter. Just some light picking for those dinners for winter evenings. We've already worked some grit into the base of the planting medium, and that's really important. The rosemary's not going to mind the cold. It's going to enjoy this sunny position we're putting it in, but it does not want to be sitting in water. It doesn't want to be damp. That's really important. So you just remove the rosemary plant from the pot that it's happily growing in. Just gently tease it out. Place it in the pot. I'm just going to put a bit more in there, just to get the plant nicely up to the height that I want to plant it at. And the mix that we're actually using here, we've actually already worked some grit into it. I think you should be able to see it on camera. Just a very fine grit, just to help the water soak away. That's so important. And then you just fill the compost around the sides. Take your time. I find this really relaxing. Just firming the plant in, because this is going to be its home for a little while now. I'm trying to get the compost in the pot rather than just on the floor everywhere. Just firm the plant in, and then just give the rosemary a bit of a drain. That'll just settle it into its new home. And this rosemary is going to be keeping us going through the winter, providing us with that delicious flavour for those cold winter nights.